Jenni Carlson.
I'm Barry Trammell. Welcome to the Jenni and Berry Show.
The Phoenix Suns play the Thunder on Friday night at Paycom Center, which means another Oklahoma City appearance for Kevin Durant.
Yep, it's been 8 years, can you believe it, since the Oklahoma Hall of Famer jumped ship to the Golden State Warriors and made a mockery of NBA competitive balance. Durant became public enemy number one in Oklahoma. Is he still? Have Oklahomans found a little grace for Durant? Could they, pray tell, entertain the thought of Durant returning to OKC later in his career to help this newest rendition of the Thunder U? We'll talk about all that and much more.
But first, we want you to subscribe to our show. Just hit that subscribe button. It might not seem like a big deal, but it will help us, and that helps you. So subscribe today. We also want to say thanks to these sponsors for supporting the Jenni and Berry Show. MidFirst Bank, Next Gen Roofing, the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum, 988, Oklahoma's Mental Health Lifeline, Two Fellas Movers, the Oklahoma Ford Dealers Association. Drive into your best in Oklahoma Ford dealers today for the best deals on Ford's full lineup of trucks and SUVs. Ford is the best in Oklahoma. All right, Barry, we can agree Kevin Durant, public enemy number one after his departure to the Golden State Warriors, but we're close to a decade now since that departure. Where does Durant rank on the hate scale? Is he still a hated figure in Oklahoma sports?
I'm afraid so. I wish he wasn't. I wish we had a little more grace. I think the venom has subsided some. I think there are some people who have basically gotten off that boat, but it's still pretty predominant. I still think people have negative feelings, anger even towards Kevin Durant. I don't think the booing is going to be as loud as it has been in the early years, but I still think he's not going to be received warmly on Friday night, which is in a way a shame because, the Thunder took a hard lick when he left, but they've come out of it. Had a couple of good years, 3 years, pretty good without Durant. Went through 2 or 3 years of hard time, but now back among the best teams in the West. Durant's Suns are not one of the better teams in the West, so living well is always a good remedy for revenge. So I do think though that it's going to take more time before people get a lot of regret and remorse about Kevin Durant out of their system.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think there is probably a softening of the hate, but I still think sports hate nonetheless carries over to Kevin Durant. I mean, and truthfully, Barry, when you think about some of what's transpired, yes, in recent years, the Thunder reboot, I think that we'll talk about that in a second, but look at the way things were handled by Paul George, by Russell Westbrook. They wanted out, they wanted to do something different, and they gave the Thunder a chance to do some things quietly without being, forced at the point of a bayonet to, do a trade deal. And they got a king's ransom for those guys, especially Paul George. We see Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. We see all the draft picks. We see what that has created, not only now, but as the Thunder looks forward. And I think that in some ways, yes, where Durant went, who he hooked up with after, the Thunder had come so close to knocking the Warriors out of the playoffs, out of the Western Conference Finals. Yes, that's always going to sting. But I think for people now, there's also this added look back of, hey, what if Durant had given the Thunder a chance to actually get some things back for him before he left? Instead, the Thunder has nothing after he leaves. They're just forced to move forward with Russell Westbrook, which is a pretty good thing to move forward with, but they didn't have some of those assets that those other stars allowed them to obtain. So I think that's an interesting aspect of this that maybe, I don't know if it changes the fundamental why people dislike Kevin Durant here in Oklahoma, but I think it maybe adds a layer for some people. But I do think the Thunder getting better here, this reboot, surely that has lessened the sting of Durant's departure.
Yeah, I don't listen to people who say Durant didn't give us a chance to get something for him. For crying out loud, we're talking about 15-16. Thunder had a great team. They got to the cusp of the Western Conference Championship. They, if Andre Robertson doesn't have 5 fouls early in the fourth quarter of Game 6. Thunder's in the NBA Finals. We might be having a banner up right now.
Yeah.
So you want to trade Durant in the summer of 15 and not take that swing? I don't. I think that's revisionist history. I don't buy that.
No, and I'm not saying trade him before the year he leaves. I don't advocate for that. But if he wanted to leave so badly, why not give the Thunder a chance to maybe do a deal that gives them something in return for one of the best players on planet Earth?
Yeah, well, I mean, Kevin Durant's he's not the Thunder's general manager. I mean, he's not the proprietor of NBA competitive balance. If he's going to go to Golden State, why would he want the Thunder to get better? I mean, to me, it's a little bit of that's a little bit of La La Land, I think. Kevin Durant he clearly was an independent contractor.
Yeah.
Earth to Thunderland. They all are. I mean, we love SGA now. There's no guarantee that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to be a forever Thunder.
Don't go breaking people's hearts, Barry. Come on.
Don't go breaking my heart.
Here?
There's no guarantee that Santa Clara Williams is going to sign 2 max deals in the next, 8, 9, 10 years. I mean, things like this happen. The truth is, Kevin Durant gave Oklahoma City 8 years, the organization 9 years. That's actually above the curve. So was it unfortunate that he chose to leave? Yes. Was it unfortunate that he chose to go to Golden State? No doubt about it. Did it say something about his character? I say yes. I mean, it showed to me that he wasn't that great of a competitor, that he wanted to go to the best team in the league and
be a sidekick.
Be a sidekick. He wanted to make every game the next 2 seasons exhibitions. Yeah, but it's his right to do it. That's the rules of free agency, and that's just the way it goes. So I don't even have a problem with the booing of 17, 18, and the rancor that developed throughout the arena. I'm just saying it's 8 years later, maybe it's time to let it go.
Yeah, and I think some people are starting to. I agree what you said earlier. I don't think the booing will be as loud with the Suns, and it hasn't been as bad in recent years. Those first few years when he's wearing the Warriors blue and gold, when he's out there with Steph Curry and Draymond Green. I mean, yes, just people were to see that in person. I mean, I think it hurt people in a way that I don't even know if they were fully prepared for, quite honestly. So I think that has changed. The fact that he went to Brooklyn, now he's in Phoenix. He's had stops between Warriors and where he is now. I think that has changed things. But Barry, let's talk about the Thunder and where they are right now. You mentioned it too. The fact that those Suns are not as good as the Thunder in the standings. Could be an early round matchup even between these two teams if things fall the right way or wrong way, depending on how you want to look at it. But the Thunder being as good as they are, as young as they are, as promising as they are, looking at the runway that could exist for this group, I think that helps a lot of Thunder fans. Yeah, they won't like to see Durant in town, but they get to keep these guys they've got. Their mental and their emotional energy is going towards something else. It's not all directed towards Kevin Durant and how he left and where he went. Now they're thinking, man, this team could contend for an NBA championship this year. And what about next year? And what about the next 4 years? So people's energy, I think, is diverted differently now.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. And here's the other thing. I mean, you don't want to credit Kevin Durant for the current Thunder the revival. Certainly he doesn't deserve credit for it. But it's not easy it's pretty easy to draw the line between the theories that if Kevin Durant doesn't leave in 2016, if he re-signs with the Thunder, this second rendition of Thunder U, Holmgren, SGA, Santa Clara, all these young guys, this would not be the Thunder roster today. This would be a different roster. For all we know, the Thunder would be in rebuilding mode now.
Now.
With either Durant gone or Westbrook gone or whoever gone. And maybe the bad times. The winter was coming to the Thunder.
It comes for everybody.
Winter was coming. It just came a little earlier than we hoped. And now we're back into spring earlier than we would have been.
So are you saying it's time for the thank you Kevin Durant video to play at Paycom Center?
That's asking a lot out of the Thunder brass. They were not thrilled with his departure, and frankly,
Really?
Kevin didn't handle his departure all that great, right? I mean,
No.
for the first couple 3 years, some of the things he said, he was trying to deflect the arrows that were coming his way. I think he was surprised at not just Thunder fans or Oklahoma City or the state of Oklahoma, but across the NBA. Some of his colleagues, Paul Pierce was one I remember, basically saying, that's not the heart of a champion. That's not the act of a competitor. I think that stung Kevin Durant, and I think he fought back with some arrows at the Thunder. I think he criticized Billy Donovan, criticized Sam Presti. I didn't think it was warranted. I thought it was low class, but it was just he was wounded and didn't expect to be wounded. He in the last couple 3 years, I think Kevin's done a lot better job saying, you know what, we did a lot of great things. They were great to me. I hope I helped them, which he clearly did. So I think that's gotten a lot better. I just don't know if those wounds have healed enough inside the Thunder headquarters to get to the point where we're talking hanging a banner, retiring his number, building a statue, all of which probably needs to happen.
Yeah.
How about this, Jacko? How close are we? How close are we to someday the Suns or whatever team introducing Kevin Durant, pregame lineups, and the Thunder crowd, instead of booing, stands and cheers? That's going to be a pretty cool moment when it happens. Yeah. If it happens, I don't know if it'll happen, but that would be a pretty cool moment.
Yeah, and I don't know if it will happen while he's playing. I mean, I think if he plays for let's say he plays, I don't know, how long could he play? Another 7 years,
4 or 5
years?
4 or 5 years, maybe.
Yeah. He's definitely not the younger, version of himself at this point, but you could see him still playing a while. Maybe if in that time frame, let's say the Thunder does win a championship, maybe the introduction of Kevin Durant doesn't feel so bad at that point. Right. Maybe there will be a feeling of, let's thank this guy. But I don't know. There's always going to be a faction of Thunder fans that will hold it against Kevin Durant, no matter what. When he returns, it's going to be that way. Now, here's another question. By the way, I do think there will be a banner, a statue, all that stuff at some point. I think that's going to happen, maybe post-career, but I think that happens. But returning on Friday with the Suns, what about possibly returning to the Thunder one day? Could Kevin Durant be a Thunder again?
I think the answer is yes.
Ooh.
I think it is a ways away, just financially. Kevin becomes a free agent in the summer of 26. So this year he's making $46 million. The next 2 years for the Suns, $49.8, $53.2 million. That's going to be, especially 2 years from now, that's going to be cost prohibitive. Yeah. As these Thunder contracts mature, you're going to have to start paying Holmgren, going to have to start paying Santa Clara Williams. It's possible. So it's possible that Sam Presti could figure out a way to squeeze in $50 million. I don't actually see how, but that's why he's Sam Presti and I'm not. In the summer of 26, Kevin Durant's a free agent. He's going to be 38 years old, and he will have some decisions to make. Does he want to keep making a bunch of money? Does he want to go to a place that's most advantageous for him? Kevin Durant at 38 is still going to be a good player. He's not going to be the Kevin Durant that the Thunder saw in 2016. He's not that player today. Kevin Durant no longer is one of the 5 best players in the NBA. He's really good. Yeah. He's an all-star. He's all NBA in all likelihood, but he's not, a transcendent talent that we saw. In 2 years, he'll be even less so, but he's still going to be really good. He's still going to be a valuable player on a good team. He's still going to be a difference maker. What does he want in 26? Does he want to play for a contender? Yeah. Check. Does he want to be a valuable member of a team? Check. Does he want to be the go-to guy on some nights? Not every night, but on some nights? Check. Does he want to come back to Oklahoma City and maybe complete a circle? Don't know. But if he does and is willing to take, a sort of a standard contract, whatever that looks like 2 years from now,
Right.
maybe the answer is yes. That'd be a wild time if Kevin Durant did. I think it's possible. I think it's unlikely, but I think it's possible.
Well, it sounds like to me you think the biggest obstacle may be financial. Now, I don't know how decision maker hearts look inside Thunder headquarters. What you said earlier about some of the shots that Durant took, whether that was a hurt Kevin Durant taking shots at who he thought he could, sling arrows at, or whether that was what he really thought, doesn't matter, because to the people inside Thunder headquarters, I'm sure that hit a lot of people really badly, in addition to where he went, how he went, all that sort of stuff, going to Golden State. I'm sure that there are some hearts that would say, I don't want this guy back in this building ever again. I think on the PR side, though, Barry, I mean, if LeBron James had a national TV special to leave Cleveland and he still went back to Cleveland and it worked, to me, the PR will take care of itself. I mean, if Ohio's native son goes back to Cleveland and it all works out, surely Kevin Durant can come back to Oklahoma City, for crying out loud. So to me, I think the question would be, are the decision makers within Thunder headquarters willing, and do the finances work out? And I don't know what the answer to either of those are, because we're not there yet. I mean, Durant in 26, if he's the same as we're seeing today, does he fit? What does he need financially? I mean, I think those are big questions, but let's go with the fit question. How do you think he would fit if he's playing the way he is today in 2 more years? How's he fit with the Thunder collection of talent we see today?
Kevin Durant fits on any team, any era. He fits. This is a guy that doesn't need the ball. How did he get along with Westbrook for so long? This is a guy that can score in a variety of ways. He's still a good defender because he's so dang tall, and he's mostly willing. Great rebounder. I mean, he's just a guy that you don't have to fit things around Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant fits into you. He'd play great with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He'd play great with Chet Holmgren. In some ways, he's exactly what the Thunder needs today. I don't know what they'll need in 2 years, but today, Kevin Durant's what they need. Defensive rebounding, outside shooting, good in the open court, good in the half court. Kevin Durant fits for anybody, and he would fit particularly well with this Thunder team.
Yeah, and this positionless basketball thing, he's that guy too. I mean,
right.
But
exactly
he was
right.
before we even had a phrase for it, before we called it anything. He's 7 foot tall and he's dribbling the ball up the court. He's 7 foot tall and he's standing down on the block, blocking an occasional shot. I mean, he's all over the court. He's got that skill set where he can play positionless basketball. So if he avoids injury, yes, he's probably going to slow down. Who wouldn't, going from, 36, 37, 38? I mean, that's going to happen. LeBron James is the exception to that rule, but you got to think Durant slows down a little bit. But if he's able to shoot and play defense like to a degree of what he is now, I think he'd be a really nice fit. And, I think we were talking earlier, Barry, about how Thunder Brass feels about Durant. Maybe that question needs to be asked the other way too, because ultimately, as a free agent, you'd be talking about Durant getting a say-so in all this. How do you think he feels about Oklahoma City? Is there any indication of, we get a sense of where he is on that?
Well, I mean, other than what he said, and I think, we referred to it earlier, he is more complimentary of his Thunder days. He's more introspective about his Thunder days. He's not. He seems to have no ill will about the booing or the whatever from since he's left, and his treatment when he's come to town. So I think he'd be open to it. I don't know that he would. I don't know that he's got it in his heart. I want to go back. This is something I need to do. But I think it'd be something he would consider. I guess what I'm saying, to quote George Harrison, the ice is slowly melting. So I like the idea that he would be open to it. I think the Thunder would be open to it. I don't know if they would pull the trigger or not. I don't know if Kevin Durant would pull the trigger or not. And that's what makes it unlikely, because you got to have these two, maybe not things coalesce and both come to an agreement. So that's what makes something unlikely. But I think it's something he would consider.
Yeah, I do too. And, while we're talking about, where's Durant in 2 years, we also don't know where this Thunder team's going to be in 2 years. I mean, we can see the trajectory and we can guess, but Thunder still has a bunch of draft picks. They could do some things with those draft picks to bring in other players, not draft wise, but use the capital to potentially acquire some pieces. We don't know. We don't know what this team's going to look like. Like you said earlier, I think Durant fits regardless of era, regardless of roster. But it's a lot of guesswork. But I'm with you. I think that Durant might not have Oklahoma City at the top of his list, but I don't think he's crossed him off either. And that will be interesting when 26 rolls around to see where he is, to see where this team is, and to see maybe it's not just Kevin Durant returning with the Suns on Friday. Maybe at some point he might come back and wear that Thunder blue again. Lots to talk about in 26. Although I'm sure we'll get to it before then too. But that's all the time we've got this week. Remember to subscribe to our show. It really does help us. And if you like what you hear, please leave us a review. You can find our columns, videos, and podcasts at selloutcrowd.com, as well as barrytrammell.com and jenny-carlson.com. And if you want our content sent straight to your inbox, all you have to do is subscribe to our newsletter. It's free and it's easy. Just go to selloutcrowd.com and sign up today. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.